Everybody, Will here from 1459 Studios. Now, I know a lot of people that watch this channel are guitar nerds just like me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you my entire guitar collection. Now, I have far too many guitars, so this is going to be part one of the guitar collection. Thanks for checking it out. All right, let's start this video with a guitar that kind of made me want to buy PRSs over and over again. This is my 2006 10-top PRS Custom 24 that I've affectionately named Dr. Matthias. This particular guitar was my second PRS that I bought, but it was the first PRS that I bought and went, wow, this is why I wanted this brand. It just, everything about it was what sold me on the brand completely. I had another one, and this one was the special one. I've set it up maybe 5 times since I've owned it. It just is super stable. The quality on it is great. I can take it out of the case after not playing it for a week, and it's still in tune, no joke. It's just one of those special guitars that makes you go, how the hell did this one get so great? It's just perfect for what I like to do. It holds the tuning phenomenally well. It does drop tunings great, it does standard tuning really great, it does standard low tunings really great. It's just a really stable, really special instrument. When I got it, it was already pretty beat up as well too, so I didn't feel bad about beating it up more. And this, along with my Blackheart Vice guitar, was my main We Are Legion and Plague of Stars guitar when both of those bands were going simultaneously. It is still my main Plague of Stars guitar as that band continues. And I can honestly say I have not recorded a record in any of my bands in the last decade that I haven't used this guitar at some point on the recording. It's just a special guitar. I love everything about it. It is my number one, and it is still, out of all of the guitars I have, my favorite guitar, and it's my favorite of all my PRSs too. So this is a special guitar. This is my ESP Eclipse, made in Japan. 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. And this guitar was the first nice guitar that I ever purchased for myself brand new. I was in college at the time, and I just said to myself, I want to buy a nice guitar. I deserve to buy a nice guitar. And screw it. I can eat fast food or I can eat canned food. I don't care. I want a nice guitar. And when these came out, I just thought they were super cool. They honestly became one of the most copied guitars in the LTD line for decades after the fact. I still think they make this color in this configuration. But when this guitar came out in the 4-knob configuration, I remember Gibson ended up suing them, so they went to a 3-knob configuration fairly quick. So I got one of the first ones, which was pretty fun. This guitar, again, was a guitar that I bought brand new, which is not common in my collection, and I just had to have it. And it's funny to me now, looking back on it 20 or so years later, going, I have been offered stupid amounts of money for this guitar, and I just won't sell it because it's just so important. This was one of 2 guitars that I owned and played for a very long period of time. And I'm fortunate to have all of these guitars. This guitar was my only nice guitar for a long period of time. It's been refretted a couple of times. It's been re-pickuped several times from the EMGs dying. It's gotten a new set of Spurzels on it at one point. It's literally been modded, but I just kept modding it back to how I got it, just because I wanted it to be the way that I got it. And this guitar is easily one of my favorite guitars. It's been on every recording that I've done in the last 20 years, even if it was just a small part or if it was an entire song or an entire album. It's just that important and that formative to me as a player. I've since retired it from playing live shows. I think the last live show I did with it was when We Are Legion did a Slayer tribute set, and I think that since then it's just been a recording guitar. But I'll practice with it occasionally. I'll pop it out. My drummer from Plague of Stars, Aaron, who I've known literally my entire life, always kind of smiles when I bring it out because he remembers when I got it. All right, here's the story of walking into a guitar store when you weren't planning on buying a guitar that day. So this is a 2024 Gibson SG Silverburst Limited. So it's an SG standard, just in a Silverburst finish with an ebony fretboard. So this guitar was a Guitar Center exclusive. They did a whole bunch of them, and they basically only had them available at Guitar Center. So if you wanted this one, you had to buy it from them. So, long story short, I just went, well, I don't really need another SG that badly. I've got my SG Supreme. I'm good. This is a cool guitar, but I don't really need it for the $2,000 that they were asking for them new at the time. So then I walk into a guitar store. It becomes a clearance model because, you know, they're one of the few ones left in the country. It's fairly beat up, blah, blah, blah. But they marked this thing down to $1,400, and I go, well, you know, that's a little bit more in the ballpark for just randomly buying a guitar. And so I walk past it for the next, you know, month or two, and then finally I'm just going to the store manager. I'm like, do you want to get rid of that guitar? And he goes, well, make me an offer. And that's a bad place to put me, is because I'm going to make you an offer, and it's going to be one of those situations where it's going to be a good deal for me. So if you let me take it, I'm going to take it. It's just the way it is. And I'm going like, well, I don't really need it. How about X? And he said, sure. And then I said, well, screw it. I guess I have another SG because it was such a good price. And it was just one of those fun, you know, limited guitars. If you know anything about the Gibson market, is the Gibson limited stuff usually ends up selling for more money years down the road than you ever paid for it new. So I figured worst case scenario, it's a good investment piece, but man, I'll play the hell out of it until then. So yeah, really, really cool guitar. Obviously silver burst is a thing that I like. If you know, if you've been watching this video, you'll see some themes on colors. But yeah, this is a really fun guitar, really well built instrument. Good Gibson quality for sure, because Gibson is not consistent with their QC, so I kind of got lucky with this one. So my PRS Tremonti 2013 single cut guitar. PRS single cuts are kind of one of those black sheeps of the line. There's people that just think they're great, and there's people that just go, oh, it's a Les Paul cop. I'm of the school of thought that it's just a different guitar. I've owned a couple different single cuts of theirs, meaning the actual first iteration they did before they really went to the Tremonti single cut, which is, I believe, the only single cut PRS is currently making. This guitar, being a 2013, is in just wonderful shape. I was able to get it when I was in kind of a trade mode for a while. I had a whole bunch of guitars I was selling, and at Stevie's Guitars, they had this for a pretty fair price, and I had a bunch of guitars to get rid of at the time, so I just said, screw it, I'm going to try a Tremonti and see if I like it. It's one of those guitars that I haven't had a ton of time with. It's a fairly new acquisition, and it's a completely new style, being that it's a full-bodied single cut style guitar, but it is a PRS, so it feels like home. The configuration on the controls is a little bit different than a typical Les Paul, so that's taken a little bit of time to get used to. Sure, I could rewire it, but I just don't mod guitars that much. But I really like this guitar so far. Again, trying to kind of find a home for it. I've been playing it at Plague of Stars rehearsals. I've really been enjoying it, and that red color is just too cool. The top on it is wonderful. It's not a 10 top, but it might as well be a 10 top. It's a really beautiful guitar. Holds tuning great, just a wonderful example of PRS craftsmanship. Great guitar. The Godin Freeway. So these Freeway guitars are a sleeper. I think Godin as a brand is one of the brands that people don't give the shake that they deserve. So Godin and Siegel, their counterpart, and Art and Lutherie, another one of theirs, and the Lexorcist, the Alex Lifeson line, Godin guitars are all made in Canada. And they're top-notch. They have great QC, and they sound awesome. They're just a really great Super Strat. But the thing about them is there's nothing really flashy about them, and there isn't anything that anybody looks at and goes, wow, that's incredibly unique. So they get overlooked a lot. But they are amazing guitars. And I say to people all the time that are starting out with playing guitar and they're looking for a good quality guitar that's not going to break the bank, I'm like, try and find a Siegel acoustic. They're amazing. Try and find a Godin electric. They're amazing. They're just great instruments. These Freeways, I got hooked onto these with my buddy Paul, who's in We Are Legion with me. Now he's in Asilic. And he basically just said, hey, these guitars are great. He was endorsed by him at the time. And I played a couple of his Freeways and I went, these are fun. So I ended up just buying one for myself. Haven't really done a whole lot with it other than just play it and enjoy it and just have it be a standard tune guitar when I want to have a standard tune guitar. And yeah, the blue color is cool, the pickup configuration is cool, very versatile, and the build quality is top notch. So if you're ever looking for a good guitar without breaking the bank, you're gonna get a good guitar when you get a Godin. You just are. All right, let's be honest. This is the one that probably sticks out more than any other guitar in my collection, as because it's my only pointy guitar. This is a 1990s made in Japan Jackson Kelly Performer. Now, The first guitar that I ever had when I was a 12, 13-year-old kid was a pointy Jackson Kelly from this era with a Floyd Rose that I'm just like, oh, these are so cool, because I wanted to be like James Hetfield and that kind of thing and have pointy guitars. And this particular guitar was one that I ended up selling in order to buy an SG years later. And as much as I love Kelly guitars, I never got back into pointy guitars, and I sure as heck didn't have an excuse to buy one to just hang on the wall and play. Then I saw one used, and as does happen with the wonderful world of guitars, is you sometimes go, maybe I want one of these back. And then you buy it, and you go, how much do I play it? It's one of those guitars that's been in my collection now for a minute, and I'm sitting here going like, I don't know how long this one will be in the collection, or if it was that whim of going, I should just buy this just cuz. It's one of those things where time will tell, but I had one when I was a kid, I have one again now, I guess I'm nostalgic. So I decided that I should probably have a 4-string bass for the studio a couple of years ago. So I just said if a good deal pops up, I'll end up buying it. So just like a Custom 24 can do any kind of music and do any kind of music well, a J-Bass is kind of that for me too in the bass world. It just sounds good on everything, regardless of style, tuning, stylistic choice, whatever it may be. It's just a wonderful instrument. And what was cool about this one is it already had a whole bunch of upgrades when it came to me as a used piece on Marketplace. Had the EMG pickups already put in, the upgraded preamp, its PJ configuration, so it's even more versatile. Just a really fun bass. Again, I'm not a bass player, but it's nice to have a 4-string and a really nice 5-string in the studio so that clients can use them, or that I can use them if I'm playing on a record or helping produce or whatever it may be. It's a special instrument. It's a fun instrument. It's probably going to be in the studio until the studio closes. Really, really cool bass. So this one I did as a trade with a friend of mine. This is a 2010's Ernie Ball Music Man Ball Family Reserve JPXI. Now, Music Man guitars are phenomenal guitars, great guitars. I've owned a few over the years. They're always one of those things where people either like PRSs or they like Music Mans or whatever it may be. It's considered kind of in that kind of nerdy echelon of guitar players where there's people who will only play Music Mans and people who will only play PRSs. As a mainly PRS guy, I can tell you that I can appreciate a good quality instrument regardless of build. And when I was offered this Music Man as a trade, I was like, yeah, let's give this a go. It's a special guitar. The purple flake on it is just beautiful. Has the piezo pickup built into it so you can do acoustic-like things. Holds low tunings really well. Really thin, fast neck. It's the only guitar that I've ever thought DiMarzio sounded good in, oddly enough. Really fun guitar, really well built. Build quality is fantastic. I like this body style of the John Petrucci series more so than the traditional one. It just looks more linear to me. It feels more like a guitar that I'm used to. It's really cool, quite nice. Who knows if it will stick in my collection or not. It's just one of those things where I bought on a whim and said, cool, let's find out. The 2010's Blackheart Vice Custom. So when I was in a band called We Are Legion, when I first moved up to the Twin Cities, we were endorsed by the Blackheart Guitar Company. This was originally started by Chad Pettit from Angrot and several other bands. But he was the builder, and he was building some custom shop guitars at the time, as well as some just line guitars. And this particular guitar was the second Blackheart that Chad built for me, simply because all his shapes were pointy. I asked him if he could do something a bit more traditional. Most of my collection, as you've probably seen through this video, are pretty standard shapes, single cuts, double cuts, super strats, that kind of vibe. And I wanted to have a guitar that wouldn't be super pointy and in a giant case that could easily travel from gig to gig. He came up with this really cool single cut design, super thin, really comfortable, and I just said, let's just strip it down. Let's make it as simple as possible. And that was one pickup, one volume knob, go. And I always loved that about the guitar, and I think in We Are Legion, I probably played this guitar almost as much as I played my PRS at the time, as far as different shows and things like that. But it was really, really cool to be able to have a custom instrument that a friend built and designed with me to some degree, where I just said, this is what I want, just something super simple, stripped down, ready to go. Chad no longer owns Blackheart guitars. I believe they still exist. I can't speak to their quality these days, but he also is currently running Legion guitars, and he is building really quality instruments still. So if you like all things pointy and all things death metal, Legion guitars is still certainly worth checking out, and by all means feel free to check out Blackheart. This particular guitar, yeah, about 2010 or so, pretty cool. Had a bunch of different pickups over the years, but kind of just settled on putting an EMG in it and letting it do what EMGs do. Yeah, it's thrashtastic. I love it. My 2005 Gibson SG Supreme in emerald green. Now, this guitar I chased for decades. So the two guitars that I kind of grew up with going, I really want to own these one day, was a emerald green Custom 24 PRS and this emerald green SG Supreme. Those were like the guitars that I wanted and I couldn't afford. So of course, when I started doing well at the studio, I started kind of looking for one of these passively, and then I realized I spent the next 5 years really looking for one to try and find one. And by that point, they were chasing big money, and I'm talking like, you know, northwards of 4K used. And I just was like, I can't justify that kind of money for a guitar. I just can't. So when I was able to locate one for a reasonable price, because it was a little bit beat up, I called the store that had it and I said, has the headstock been repaired? They said, no, headstock is intact. And I'm like, okay, does it have the original hard shell case? Yes, it's beat up, but it has it. Awesome. I want to buy this guitar. So I did. And this particular guitar was one of those that I'm like going, I'm never going to be able to find one. They only made them for a few years. They made both a humbucker and a P90 version. And I wanted the emerald green with the gold hardware and that silly, gaudy top with the big diamond inlay on the headstock. I'm just like, this is too cool. And being the big Black Sabbath nerd that I am, I had to have it. So my PRS 2002 CE24 has EMG aftermarkets put in it. That's how I bought it. The person that had this previously kind of did some cool mods to it, and I just saw it on the wall at a Guitar Center and ended up making the store manager an offer, and he just took it. So I ended up kind of taking home a guitar when I wasn't planning on buying one. But again, it's an emerald green, which is definitely my favorite color. EMG pickups, which I like. Upgraded pickup rings, has oversized volume and tone knob, which is just cool. And then it has black tuning pegs, so it's completely blacked out, kind of already made for metal. And it came with a green strap, which was just stupid, right? But, you know, hey, it's staying there. We're keeping the green on the green, right? So this particular guitar, I ended up just buying on a whim because it was a good price and I was able to score it for a really good deal. These old CEs, like the 2000s, early 2001s, are just top-notch guitars. Has the full violin curve instead of like the shallow violin curve that they put on CEs these days. The dots instead of the birds, which I think is just more classic CE. It's just what the brand did originally with the model, so that just feels like home to me. And it was worn in, already pre-beat up, ready to go. It's one of those guitars that I've kind of gone back and forth, and which band am I going to use this for, because it's green and I like it, and it really holds all of the tunings that I do in my bands well. And I'll eventually find a home of where it's going to live, but it's a wonderful guitar, classic PRS CE, great guitar in my collection. This one's going to be one that just stays with me because it's just too cool. The PRS SE Custom 24 Limited Edition Rosewood, roughly 2019 or so. This was a special guitar for me. My wife ended up buying this for one of our anniversaries. We were pretty big on always having a theme, and we would follow whatever the year was, and this particular year was wood. Being that I'm a guitar player, it was a pretty easy thing to pick out for her that year to say, I'm going to buy you a guitar. Obviously, being a PRS nut, she was like going, I'd like to buy you a PRS because that's what you like, but PRS guitars also tend to be fairly expensive, so she was looking mainly at SEs and things like that. She ended up looking at a bunch of guitars first on just going, she thought this was pretty, she thought this was cool, whatever it may be, and was able to, air quotes, settle on this one because the other two that she thought were really cool were private stocks and over 10 grand. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense to spend that kind of money on an anniversary gift. But this guitar is really cool. It's extremely modded. I'm not huge on modding guitars, but I will be honest, SE guitars, to me, really benefit from the SE locking tuners. I think that's the biggest detriment of the SE line, if I'm being honest, is the tuners are meh. But you put the locking tuners on and wow, it makes a huge difference as far as tuning stability. The original pickups were zebra pickups, and I'm just not a fan of zebra pickups and how they look. So simply, I just got some Seymour Duncans and just blacked out the guitar just because I thought it looked cooler. The pickups that came in it originally sounded fine, I just didn't like how they look. So of course I had to make it more death metal and more black and more evil and all that. But it's a really cool guitar, has a lot of great memories. It has been the main Plague of Stars practice guitar for a decade or so at this point. It's basically just stayed in my practice space, and it's just always here for if we have practice and I didn't get a chance to run home and grab it in a guitar or something. I just play it for fun. It's a wonderful guitar, really well built, stays in tune great. It's been a wonderful workhorse for me. So this is a guitar that I ended up buying from a friend of mine when his store closed. This is one of those guitars that I've always loved. I'm going to show my age here a little bit, but I grew up with a lot of music that was very Floyd Rose and very flamboyant and very silly. And Charvels to me were kind of always the guitar for that. I've always said that if you own a Floyd Rose guitar, it should probably be a Charvel. These Mexican-made SoCals are ridiculous. They punch way above their weight as far as price tag is concerned. At its core, it's a Super Strat. Look at the thing. It's got a Fender headstock. There's no joke what this is. Everybody knows that Fender owns Charvel at this point. Any guitar with a Floyd Rose, to me, this is the guitar to have a Floyd Rose on, meaning like a Super Strat. So it's great to play all the stuff that I grew up with, you know, Motley Crue or Iron Maiden or Skid Row or any of that kind of fun butt rock stuff that I just absolutely love and super fun to play. And when I was touring with Thor, of course I had to have one of those guitars, you know, a silly butt rock Charvel, right? Just rules for playing silly power metal. Just love this guitar. I've recorded with it a couple of times, mainly because I needed Floyd Rose dive bombs to happen, and this guitar definitely does that. Man, it's a really fun guitar. I will practice with it with Plague of Stars occasionally. Just a really, really fun guitar, and I'll keep using it, and I'll keep it in my collection. It's really cool. So I think I've owned more Les Pauls than any style of guitar because they're just one of those guitars where they're hard to find a good one, and they're hard to find the right one. They're just not consistent. This is not to rip on Les Pauls, it's well known, but the neck profile is going to be a little bit different on every single one. The weight is going to vary drastically. The quality control on it arguably is going to vary drastically. The feature set's going to vary drastically from year to year, and I just said, well, I found a Les Paul that I really liked, and oddly enough, every other Les Paul that I purchased, I bought out of a store. I was able to play it, I was able to go spend some time with it and go, yeah, this is the right one, and I ended up keeping none of those. This particular one, I bought when I was working for American Musical Supply, and I just said, I really like it. I love the Ocean Burst color because, again, green. It's too cool. It came with locking tuners on it already, which was kind of a big thing I didn't like about Les Pauls, because I'll swing Kluson tuners out of tune so fast that I just thought this was really good. Stock came exactly the way I wanted it. Had the right pickups. Very classic Les Paul in a cool finish. And I bought it sight unseen, had it shipped to my office where I was working for American Musical Supply, and it's, of course, the Les Paul that I've kept. What can you do, man? This 2017 is just so cool. So what'd you think? You made it all the way to the end. You have a favorite guitar, one that you thought was really cool? Comment below and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hey everybody, Will here from 1459 Studios. Thanks for checking out the video. If you like what you heard, I encourage you and I appreciate it if you would take some time to go like, follow, subscribe, and or just check out any of my projects. If you like death metal, check out Caustic Abyss. If you're into slow funeral doom, check out Chalice of Suffering. If you like female-fronted gothic death experimental whatever the heck we are, check out Plague of Stars. If you like grindcore, check out Insect Death. And if you like just odd soundscape music, Wolf Harvester might be up your alley. I'd also like to take a second to thank the companies that I proudly endorse: Tone Vault Audio and Media Cabling, high-quality cables for the fraction of the price of other brands, as well as my favorite, PRS guitars. If you haven't already done so, please remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the alert button so you get all the latest content.